All right, let's talk about the new leadership test, the virtual interview. It's not just a screening call anymore. It's become your first and maybe best chance to really prove you can lead. So today, we're going to show you exactly how to master the medium and land that role. Okay, let's kick things off with a piece of data you just can't ignore. Your interview, it starts way before you log into that video call. Get this, recent reports show that 73% of hiring managers are checking out your social media. But here's the real shocker. A massive 85% of them have actually rejected candidates based on what they find. It's clear the first test of your leadership is proving you have a professional, polished digital brand.
So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through these 5 key areas, but really you can think of it as a simple 3-part leadership test: the setup, the performance, and the follow-through.
First things first, let's pass that initial test. This is all about getting your digital house in order and proving you're a leader before you even say a single word.
So, the big idea here is to treat your LinkedIn profile like a living, breathing portfolio, not some dusty scrapbook of old jobs. Lead your headline with a real quantified outcome. Show your impact with tangible things, like a deck or a case study. And here's a pro tip. Instead of asking for generic recommendations, ask a former colleague to write specifically about how you lead. This little change transforms your profile from a boring list of duties into hard proof of your capabilities.
All right, next up, mastering the room itself. In a virtual interview, your setup isn't just a background, right? It's a huge signal about your professionalism and your attention to detail. How you handle the medium is a direct reflection of how you lead.
The difference between a weak and a strong online presence really comes down to a few simple but powerful adjustments. Don't be that backlit silhouette. Just face a window or use a simple light. Don't just talk to the blurry faces on your screen. When you make a really key point, look directly into the camera lens. It makes a huge difference in perceived eye contact. And please, trade that tinny laptop audio for a clear USB mic. These small changes signal you've totally got this.
And here's a super simple checklist to run before every single call. Is your camera at eye level? Is your audio crystal clear? Is your network stable? And do you have a backup plan? Look, leaders prepare for what might go wrong. This list just makes sure your tech is signaling preparedness, not chaos.
All right, we've totally nailed the setup. Now we get to the heart of the performance, telling your leadership story. This is where you go beyond just listing your skills. Instead, you're going to use compelling stories to make your impact feel tangible, memorable, and, well, real.
Now, to do this really effectively, we're going to use a powerful framework called STAR-L. You've probably heard of STAR, right? But that L on the end, that's the leadership secret sauce. It stands for learning. It shows you don't just get results, you pull out reusable insights that make you and your team smarter the next time. It's the hallmark of a true leader.
Let's focus on the most important part of any story, how you land it. After you've set the scene and describe what you did, you have to stick the landing. Quantify the result. Something like, churn fell to 4.3% in 90 days. But then you add the leadership lesson, that L, to show you actually grew from the experience. That's what makes the story unforgettable.
And you can adapt this framework to tell your own amazing stories. Just think about a time you rescued a project that was going off the rails, or saved a key customer relationship. Maybe you helped someone on your team grow, or you paid down some technical debt to make everything faster. These are all classic leadership moments you can frame perfectly with STAR-Law.
But, acing the interview isn't just about how you answer questions. Great leaders also ask great questions. This is how you shift the whole dynamic from feeling like an interrogation to being a strategic conversation between two peers.
This first question, it is an absolute game changer. It immediately signals that you think in terms of business impact, not just a list of tasks. It aligns you with the company's biggest goals right from the start and shows you are totally focused on results.
Asking about trade-offs? Wow, this is a massive signal of senior-level thinking. Every single business operates with constraints. Your ability to see that and ask about those strategic choices shows you get the real-world complexities of leadership. It proves you're ready to make those tough, smart decisions.
And this question is both brave and incredibly smart. It shows you have high self-awareness and you're proactively trying to understand the potential pitfalls. It tells the interviewer, hey, I'm not just focused on getting this job, I'm focused on succeeding in it and building a real partnership.
So, the interview isn't over when they ask, do you have any questions for us? Nope. How you close the loop is the final and often the most memorable leadership signal you send. This is your chance to end on a really strong, confident, and proactive note.
It really comes down to two crucial steps for a strong finish. These steps reinforce all the great leadership qualities you've already shown. First, you seek clarity right there in the call. And second, you follow through with purpose and value after the call is over.
This simple question is just pure confidence. It shows you welcome feedback, you're coachable, and you're focused on working with them to get to a yes. It opens the door for you to address any little doubts they might have right there on the spot, instead of letting them wonder after you've logged off. And finally, your follow-up email. Think of it as more than just a thank you note. It's your last chance to provide targeted proof of your value. Thank them for a specific point in the conversation. Tie your excitement back to the business outcomes they mentioned. And if you addressed a gap in the call, maybe attach a little one-pager or an example that proves your point. It's that final, professional value-add touch.
So here's the bottom line. It's time to reframe how we think about the virtual interview. Stop seeing it as this awkward obstacle. Instead, see it as a canvas, a modern test where you can really demonstrate your clarity, your adaptability, and your leadership by mastering the medium itself. Because at the end of the day, that's what every interview is, a leadership test. By mastering your digital first impression, controlling the virtual room, and leading with strategic stories and questions, you can make sure that your answer is a clear and very confident yes.